This is the Local Service Business Podcast, brought to you by Launch27, the online booking form and service management tool that powers thousands of local service businesses around the world. Every week, we bring you a new episode with a different Launch27 user to discuss wins, challenges, and to impart wisdom from our journey in business to our listeners. We're glad you're here to join us. All right. This is the Local Service Business Podcast with Derek King, and today we are talking to Myco. He is part of the Launch27 community, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how he creates company culture, just some different operational things that he does that really helps his business succeed, and other things. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Myco, the floor is yours.
All right, well, it's good to be here. My name is Myco Momplaisir. I've been running a local service business, specifically in the cleaning industry, for the last 5 years. And I mean, I'm all ears for any questions you have.
Okay, perfect. So give me your background. Why did you decide to start a local service business? Was it because you saw the Reddit posts like so many of us, or did you start your local service business before Launch 27?
My background is in finance. I've done everything from selling timeshares to servicing the loans to securitization, basically where you sell the loans that you originate for cash to run your business or your timeshare company. That's my background. I just got a bit burnt out, tired of all the corporate back and forth. I had started my cleaning company prior to finding the local case study. About a year, I'd say year and a half into it, I happened on it and I jumped on board, and it's been upwards from there.
Okay, cool. So I know you fairly well, and I know that you are great at operations. So a lot of this podcast will be geared towards talking about what makes a business successful operationally. Um, so let's see, what has been your biggest struggle in the business thus far, and how did you solve that in terms of operations?
Employee retention.
Okay, so how did you solve that?
I got I got really, really good at, I guess, keeping employees or treating my employees so well that they really second guess leaving me. No, I what I did was I started tracking the things that made people happy, the things that motivated my employees, and then I also started tracking, some of the reasons why they may have left. Either they told me firsthand, or I was going based off of assumptions.
Mhm.
And I instituted a program we call air operations. Basically, I happened on this article. I can't remember where it says employees need air. Air is basically an acronym for they need appreciation, they need inspiration, and they need recognition.
Mhm.
So each day I aspire to breathe air into my business or into my employees, either by showing appreciation, by giving them inspiration, or by showing them recognition for the job that they do, even if it's not something that they did well, but still showing recognition for something that they did. Either they took initiative or they executed on something, or even something as simple as they showed up to work. I
Mhm.
show recognition or appreciate for little stuff and big stuff.
Mhm. So give me an example of how you would show recognition.
For recognition, for example, we have a monthly program. We My staff is entirely women, so we have queen for a day.
Mhm.
So each of my managers are given these gold cards. They're basically business cards that are designed in a gold color, and each time you do something well, you're given a gold card throughout the week. Either you aced your quality inspection, you had 100% on-time arrival, or you had a lot of customer contact where they called in to tell us how awesome you were or your team. We give you a gold card,
Mhm.
and then we put everybody in a bowl or a cup, and we pick out a gold card and your queen for the day. And basically what that entitles you to is we'll bring your supplies to you in the field. You don't have to come into the office, so you get that extra time to yourself in the morning where you don't have to drive all the way to the office. And we'll also provide you with lunch. So that's one way I provide recognition for them going above and beyond, or just basically doing their job.
Mhm. Yeah, and I love that because I mean, of course, we expect them to do their jobs, but like people will try even harder when they know that they're, that they're going to get some sort of recognition, no matter how big or how small it is. Like that appreciation, like you said, is a big thing. And I've found that a lot as well. Um,
Exactly.
so how you, I know that you, and like I said, I know you fairly well. So I know that you do surveys to kind of help you, ascertain how your teams are doing, how they feel about certain things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have a survey that goes out every Friday, and it's
Mhm.
one question. Did you have a good week? Yes or no. If they click yes, it doesn't ask anything else. If they click no, there's a box that says, how could your week have been better? Or how could we have improved on your week? And a lot of times, 9 times 10, they'll answer it.
Mhm.
Maybe too many bookings in one day, poor staffing, not enough time allotted for each cleaning. Maybe the manager pissed them off. A lot of times I use that to gauge, the success of my managers in each state.
Mhm.
So that one question, basically, it's open-ended question. It allows me to gauge, how my employees are doing, basically the pulse of my company each week,
Mhm.
um, at the end of the week on Friday. And I have 85, 90% people of my staff that reply to it every week.
And it's interesting because I know a lot of us have smaller companies and you have a larger company that spans multiple states. And I would, wager to say that your operations are tighter than people that have one office and like 3 or 4 employees. How did you get to that point where you, like, do you just kind of document everything? Do you, like, how did you set that up so that, you know, I mean, I know a lot of people have to get that set in the beginning, or else it's not gonna. When you get bigger, it's hard to kind of manage. How did you determine when and how to set that up?
Well, again, I come from a finance world where there's a lot of legislation, a lot of requirements. My background, basically, I'm required to be pretty pretty for lack of a better word, organized.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got into this industry, I quickly realized that was going to be one of my assets and resources to rely on to basically guide the business where I needed it to be, because there's a lot of moving parts each day. If you think about it, I have dozens and dozens of employees moving from point A to point B to point C at any given time. So in order for me to make sure that that happens in the order it's supposed to happen and safely and reliably for the customers, I realized I had to get organized. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the first things I did after the first few weeks when I started hiring individuals, was figure out a system to get organized and be able to track what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and have benchmarks to measure the success or failure of each action or task, and then build from there.
Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about hiring, since you mentioned that. I know you have all employees or mostly employees, correct?
We have all employees.
Okay, cool. And so how do you go about hiring? Do you train? Like, what's your process for that?
Luckily, I have a excellent operations manager. His name is Dan. I mean, I couldn't do a lot of things without him. He's more of the hands-on person as far as it. When he came on board,
Mhm.
he I implemented the systems, and he basically made sure they're maintained. So if something goes wrong, I just shoot him an email or a text message or a call, and he's there. But from from point A to from step one, basically, when I hire an employee, I usually interview them, or Dan does. We have the meet with the manager, but 9 times 10, I interview them and I look for certain traits. I don't necessarily really care if you know how to clean. I more care about your personality, and because it's a demanding job, it's not always nice, it's not always easy. So I need someone who can go with the punches, and every day be able to deal with it, because every day it can be a crappy day.
Mhm.
So I more so look for that rather than someone who can clean. Most businesses, I think, look for someone who has experience cleaning, whereas that's secondary to what I'm looking for when I hire.
Okay, cool. And so, do you teach them how to clean then if you find someone who you know is going to be a good worker?
We
Um,
do. We do. We have in each city, we have basically a customer, or we'll use an Airbnb. We're in Airbnb where we take them to for between 4 to 8 hours, and we go over our expectations, top to bottom, left to right. We
Mhm.
go over how to use the products, which products we have, how to use the products, the most efficient way to do things, each of our equipment, using the apron properly, alternating between crew when they go between the houses. So we go pretty in depth, and we kind of give them on-site quiz about it, making sure that they're able to remember what they learn, and then they go with the manager or a trainer per se for 2 weeks before they're released on their own and before they're released with their own partner.
And since you're pretty thorough when you're hiring, and you're pretty good with and employer retention, do you often are you always hiring? I mean, I know you're always growing, so most likely you're always hiring, but how do you balance like, retaining employees versus hiring and onboarding new employees?
We're always taking applications in this industry. They may be great one day, it's sad to say, and then the next day, for whatever reason, they don't show up to work, or they're just upset they had a bad day and they've always been able to roll with it, but this just that one day really knocked them off their footing. So we're always hiring. In each city we have, it's usually Mondays or Tuesdays, we have open call interviews. So you can walk in at any time. We always advertise them either in the local newspaper. We have drop cards, which are basically business cards with our information, our web address, our phone number, and our address, physical address for you to come in and do an interview on Mondays or Tuesdays. So we're always taking applications. We're always hiring. A lot of times, if we find a good applicant, we'll pay for them to do the test cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
and so that way they're ready to go if and when we need them, or if and when the growth happens where we need them. A lot of times, but we always have an open door where we're always taking applications.
Okay, cool. And where's been the best place you found advertising for new employees?
To be honest, your employees are your best source
Hmm.
of applicants.
Hmm.
If you empower them to, communicate job openings to their friends and family or their network of people that they know, they'll bring you people. 9 times out of 10, my drop cards, they'll
Hmm.
bring in people. But a lot of the employees that I have that have been with me over a year have been through my employees, and we also have an employee bonus for employees that bring in new members. So we pay $100 after 60 days of them staying, then we pay an additional 50 after 90 days of them staying. So a total of 150 is paid out to employees when they bring in a new staff member. Well, when they refer a new staff member.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I actually implemented that after we discussed that. And I would say 90% of my employees are from referrals. So that was and then they all get the referral bonus and they're happy about that. So that was definitely one of the things that I've taken away from, us talking over the years, I guess.
And that goes with the recognition part. You
Yep.
recognize your employees' efforts.
Uh-huh, exactly. And appreciate their efforts too. I love that, you know? All right,
Exactly.
so I ask everybody this, and this is kind of how I conclude every podcast. So, can I have one tip for someone who's just starting their business? And again, since we're speaking a lot about operations, could you give us a tip in terms of how you deal with operations for someone who's just starting?
If you're just starting, approach it as just that. You're just starting. Don't assume anything. Soak up everything
Mhm.
and get organized. If you're not organized, you're going to fail really, really quickly because there's a lot to do and you can't do it all at once. One thing I do every week faithfully is I only take on 5 things, one a day. I don't do more than one thing a day. So
Mhm.
Mondays, I'm doing marketing. My staff knows don't bring anything else to me. I don't even answer customer complaints. Tuesdays, I answer customer complaints. Wednesdays, I usually follow up on staff members and so on and so forth. So each week, I do 5 things, one a day. It doesn't matter. I'm focused on one thing. You can't multitask, but so much. If you focus on one thing and you do it really well each day, you'll accomplish way more. So again, come into it as you know nothing and soak up everything.
I love that. All right. So, what's one tip in terms of operation for someone who's trying to scale? Like they have their foundation and now they're trying to do what you've done and go to multiple cities or just increase their revenue, 2, 3 times.
Visit for a whole year before I actually visited Connecticut. And I learned so much in the one week I took to visit it back in 2016. It was amazing. I realized our area of operation was way too big. I went from 20 cities to 10. And on the map, they look fairly close or when you GPS it, but a lot of times you're going through winding roads and service was bad in some areas as far as cell phone service. Our area of operation was too big. So if you want to expand to another state or city, get on a plane, get in your car, and visit it definitely, because it's different on the ground. The nuances of the city, the way people are, the just the layout of it, and how you view it from an operational standpoint will change dramatically if you actually go to the city where you're trying to start operations versus just assuming or looking at it on a map.
Mhm. Very cool. All right. So our last thing is, can I have one tip for someone who is about to give up? So maybe they just can't handle it operationally. They're scattered. They don't know how to get everything under control. What would be that one tip for them?
Take a day off. It sounds crazy, but take a day off. Don't think about the business,
Hmm.
and it'll either refocus you, or it'll allow you to see, you know what, this isn't for me, and it's not for everyone. And
Yeah.
that's part of being an entrepreneur. You're not always going to succeed. I mean, I've had, even before this, and before my job, I've had businesses fail miserably. I
Mhm.
remember I had a conversation, stemming from a post Rohan wrote. I had a nightlife website business that failed. I had a trash business. I've had a lot of businesses fail. So this is one of my first businesses that I've actually been able to scale and
Mhm.
work. But that's what it means to be an entrepreneur. If you're gonna come into this thinking, well, I'm supposed to be successful because others have been successful. Hello?
Yeah, I lost you. Can you repeat that one part? Hold on, I don't know if it's me or if it's you. Do you have good internet?
Uh-huh.
Oops, it must be me. Hold on. I'm shutting some stuff down. Hopefully that will help. All right. So just if you could repeat that last part about the giving up after you talked about taking a day off.
Oh, what I was saying is this business isn't necessary for everyone. After you take your day off, or your 2 days off, or weekend, whatever, however many days you think you may need, you may discover it's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come into this business or industry rather thinking that because others have been successful, you'll be successful, then you're going to be miserable and you are going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Your only guarantee of success is how much effort you put into it. And sometimes, even though you may put effort, it may not be the time, maybe the region you're operating may not be right for the business model. So, you just have to step back, take a breather, and then decide whether or not it's for you. Don't waste your time if it's not. And if it is for you, focus, refocus. And like I said, don't do everything at once. Focus on one problem at a time. If hiring is your problem, focus on hiring. Let the other part of the business run itself for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to tackle every problem all at once. It's not going to work.
Well, very cool. I definitely appreciate you hopping on this podcast with me. I know that, like I said, you and I have been kind of figuring out this thing together for the past 2 to 3 years. I knew you would have a lot of great operational gems for us. So, again, thank you. And I know Myco's in the Facebook group, and he's always popping in with some great answers. So, if you ever have any questions, is it okay if they tag you in the Facebook group?
Sure, I harass everyone all the time. I know I've called you a million times. I email or message Rohan. I email everyone, so feel free to reach out to me. Sometimes forgive me if I don't get back to you right away, but yeah, by all means.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Take care.